Member Nash, I know we are at 10 o'clock, and based on the count so far, I believe we are at 10 members present, and so we need to have our
how many are excused absence?
We have 3 excused. So we're getting a influx right now. Let's see. Just
Good morning,
looks
Claudia.
like we are at 14.
This is Denise. Claudia, there's no public comment at this time.
Hi, Denise. Thank you for confirming, Denise. Chair Nash, it looks like from what we can tell on the attendance, we have 14 present. We can go ahead and start. You can call the meeting to order when you are ready. Member Nash, you're on mute.
Sorry about that. Good morning, everyone. We're calling our Leon Williams San Diego County Human Relations Commission meeting to order May 25th, 2021 at 10:02. Welcome, everyone. And now we'll proceed with roll call.
Thank you, Chair Nash. Pedro Anaya.
Here.
Warsan Arton.
Good morning. Present.
Good morning. Kate Chasen.
Pleasure to be back and present.
Welcome back.
Right.
Kate Clark. Cinnamon Clark. Stella de los Rios. Kara Desert.
Present.
Angela Elliott Santos.
Present.
Rashid Essa.
Good morning, President.
Eleanor Evans.
Present.
Rodney Fowler.
Present.
Tammy Gillies.
Good morning. Present.
Morning.
Nadia Moshiri Binderup as proxy for Bill Gore this morning.
Morning. Present.
Or as designee, excuse me. Christina Griffin Jones.
She sent a chat said she's present. Said she can't
She
speak.
cannot speak. Okay. Let's see. Okay, we'll get that. Look at what's going on with that. Thank you. George Curry.
Present.
Taha Hassan. Taha Hassan. Okay. Nicole Murray Ramirez.
Present.
Ellen Nash.
Present.
Herminia Ramirez Ledesma.
Present.
Tim Ryman. Tim Ryman. Simona Ruderman. Samuel Troy.
Present.
And Summer Steffen. She did send a note she'd be joining late. And member Christina Griffin Jones, you can speak now.
Yes, Claudia. Good morning.
Good morning. Thank you. That concludes roll call, Chair Nash.
Okay. Do we have a quorum?
We do have a quorum.
All right. Yeah. Great. No public comment? Do we have public comment?
We had no public comment, and we do have, just for the record, 16 members present in roll call.
Okay.
We'll go ahead and share the screen. so we can Madam Chair, we do have 2 new commissioners who have been appointed at the May 4th Board of Supervisors meeting. Our 2 new members are Herminia Ramirez and Kate Chasen. Members Ramirez and Chasen, please feel free to introduce yourself with your name and information you'd like to share, up to 3 minutes, and feel free to include the information about your community work or experience, what you're passionate about, a personal bit of information, any demographic information you'd like to share, and a fun fact. Member Herminia Ramirez is a D3 appointment, as is Kate Chasen. Member Ramirez.
Hi everyone, my name is Herminia Ramirez and I live in Escondido. I focus on public health at the Vista Community Clinic, and I oversee our outreach and migrant health programs. And migrant health is actually something I'm really passionate about. I have the pleasure and honor of guiding resources at the time regarding COVID access to testing and vaccines. So for the time being, I'm living, breathing, eating everything COVID and doing hopefully my part to ensure that our communities are safer. I am passionate also about working with the community. So one of the highlights that I want to share with you all is my work closely ties with being connected to community at all times. So we have at VCC a legacy volunteer group called Poder Popular. And Poder Popular is a group made up of 40+ residents in North County who are all working on advancing health in some way. It's through the promotora model, and it's volunteer, and they're really our advisory arm. So whatever projects, efforts they want to lead, we of course support them in that. And I think that having that community-centered approach has really inspired and committed me even more to the work, to the type of work that I do, and ensuring that there's community voices in all of the efforts that I take on. I graduated from Cal State San Marcos twice and have lived in North County most of my life. So I do call myself a North County baby. And also part of the reason why I'm passionate about serving in this commission, representing the district, I always say San Diego is such a unique landscape, and North County is even more unique in the communities that we serve. It houses the largest farm worker population in San Diego, a population that I'm dedicated to serving, and has a lot of different components that I think people don't think about necessarily when they think about San Diego. So I'm hoping to bring these sorts of bits and pieces from both my professional career and my personal career to this commission. I also serve on the Escondido Planning Commission. I feel that planning is such an important tool for public health, and the way that communities are designed really impacts how healthy communities can be. And so I'm also working hard to bring in a public health perspective there. A fun fact about myself is I love the smell of tape. So it's always just an interesting fact to share, but I'm just inclined to it. So happy to share with you all and join this group. And again, hoping to do my part in this table and connect with you all.
Welcome.
Thank you.
Okay, I think I'll go next. So hello, I'm Kate Chasen. I previously served on this commission and I was luckily reappointed, so I'm very excited to be back. I am currently here reporting to you live from my high school. So just a bit of personal information about myself, that I am a high schooler, and I am very excited to be representing the high schoolers and the young children of San Diego County. It is really an honor for me to be here. A little bit more about myself. Since the last time that I was on the commission, I have become much more deeply involved in advocating for youth and teen mental health. So actually today, we're bringing forward a resolution to get mental health curriculum in our school district, which is very exciting. As well, I am a proud Jewish teenager, so I love to be representing the Jewish population here on the commission as well. And I'll do a fun fact about myself that I love the smell of freshly cut grass. So I'll just keep that smell train going here.
Welcome, welcome, member Kate. We're honored to have you here with us today. So welcome. I'm so excited that you were reappointed because you're the voice of today, not the future, but today. So I'm glad you're here with us. Thank you. Are those our new commissioners? Was only the two?
Yep, that's right.
Okay.
Claudia's having some technical difficulties, so I'll just jump in.
Okay.
Yeah,
All
so
right.
the next item is strategic planning, Chair.
Right.
And I'll just read through the overview of the letter that we sent out. So the development of the mission statement for the Office of Equity and Racial Justice included public participation from various communities. Based on extensive public process and input regarding bringing forward concerns as part of the mission statement development, the commission decided to complete the process before commencing its strategic planning, so they could have the benefit of community input. In addition, the commission has just concluded a series of presentations related to extremist groups, hate incidents, hate crimes, reporting of hate incidents and crimes, protests, violence prevention strategies. Accordingly, the commission can begin its strategic planning process. Below, please find options proposed by staff regarding to setting meetings for the strategic planning times. Today, staff asked the commission how it would like to proceed. In addition, the commission can begin discussing related items to the strategic planning process. So with that, let me pull up my screen. Oh, Claudia's back, so she's going to pull up her screen. Give us 1 second.
Okay.
Sorry about that. Thank you, Commission member. Sorry about that internet connection issue. It is, as Andrew introduced the item, we have provided a few different options for the Commission to consider as part of its strategic planning. And certainly at today's meeting, you can start to begin that process if you like. One of the, some of the options include, as we said, during regularly scheduled meetings, adding special meetings for the next few months, or forming an ad hoc committee to develop a strategic plan and present it to the Commission. I know we have some hands up also. I just wanted to get through some of those dates as well. If we were to add some special meetings to the Commission's current calendar, those would be on other Tuesdays from 10 to 12 as follows: June 15th, July 6th, and August 10th. Overall, staff anticipates or estimates that the strategic planning should take 4 to 6 meetings by the Commission. The other option is for the Commission to form an ad hoc committee, and we would suggest that those committees could be held on Mondays from 2 to 4 on those dates as follows. If it needs the meetings in August, they are there, that we've noted them on the calendar on the screen before you. And if the Commission would like an ad hoc committee to undertake the strategic planning, they would do that and then return to the Commission with a recommendation on a strategic plan. You also have those options available to you, and we're willing to entertain additional options. In addition, as this agenda item was noted on the agenda, it's an opportunity to provide for or allow additional subcommittees, the formation of subcommittees as part of its strategic plan, such as a legislative subcommittee, an annual awards subcommittee, and communications subcommittee, and any others that this Commission would like to pursue. With that, I know there were some hands up that we can call them, and before I do that, Chair Nash, was there anything you wanted to add to the item at this time?
I don't know if it's possible, but even an option of spending our one or two of our standing meetings as another option, if that's appropriate.
Oh, yes, Madam Chair, I'm sorry if I didn't make that clear. Yes, the anticipation is our next few meetings. We will substantiate a significant portion of those meetings as part of staff's recommendation on strategic planning so that there's sufficient time. The concern being that the option of an additional special meeting, it was so that there would be 2 meetings a month as opportunities for this commission to discuss strategic planning so that it could conclude the strategic plan in orderly fashion. We didn't want it to take 6 months.
No.
We thought 2 to 3 months over 4 to 6 meetings was appropriate and achievable.
Okay.
So I believe Vice Chair Arton has her hand up.
Oh, thanks, Claudia. I wanted to say, I wanted to ask if it is possible for community members to participate in the strategic planning. And I also just saw that chat comment from Francine asking a similar thing. Is that a possibility, even if it means changing the times we're meeting?
So certainly all meetings are open to the public. All members of the public are able to submit comments and share public comments and participate in that strategic planning. If the commission wants to designate a workshop format to provide a different kind of engagement, certainly they could do that during its meetings and designate it as such.
Okay.
Thank you. Yeah, I think it would be good to have the public participate.
Absolutely.
Certainly, yes. And these are always on the webpage with the notices and the information of how to participate. And to the extent members of the commission would like to also send out that information to its organizations and its own network, it is certainly encouraged to do so.
I have another comment. So I put strategic planning on the agenda as a priority because we have been talking about it for several meetings, but I would like to see us with a sense of urgency because the strategic planning, number one, puts us all on the same page or close to the same page. Secondly, it also helps us create the vision in terms of where we want to take the Human Relations Commission. And thirdly, one other suggestion, I don't think I saw it, was in order for us to have more constituents' voices, we may want to consider also strategic planning meetings at a more accessible time. I see Francine Maxwell is talking about it too, an accessible time where we could have more public input or public participation. So even if we could possibly sacrifice a Saturday, a 4-hour Saturday meeting, maybe we could get it done, a strategic planning meeting close to completed, possibly on a Saturday. If we could sacrifice some time to do that, I think it would be important, and that would also provide more constituency public voices, as well as some evening meetings that we can consider too. But for purposes of the strategic planning, if we could consider the openness to more public participation, and to me, a Saturday morning from 8 to 12 or 10 to 2 or 10 to 1 might be another possibility that we should consider as well. Thank you. Any comments?
Madam Chair, we do have Christina Griffin-Jones, and before she unmutes, while she's unmuting, we can certainly, at the commission's direction, if the commission wants to meet during the evening hours or on a weekend hours, we can accommodate that.
Okay.
Claudia, is it okay for me to go?
Yes, thank you.
Yes.
I just want to make you're unmuted.
Oh, thank you. I also want us to keep in mind interpretation. Members of like the community who speak American Sign Language, as well as folks who speak Spanish, Somali, Arabic, Vietnamese. I think because I use interpreters like that, and I can get estimates or whatever. And I'm sure the county, I don't know if the county uses them, but I think it'd be important to have language access. And I'm really glad that we're talking about having strategic meetings at more accessible times. And I also hope that we'll also consider having our commission meetings at different times as well. And I also want to be mindful that I know that maybe some commissioners, because of like family obligations, right, it may be hard for them to meet on Saturdays. So just like lifting up that, like, you know, I know that definitely volunteering to be on those Saturday calls if other commissioners, you know, can't. So just wanted to keep in mind folks' schedules and capacity. I know this is an important, you know, job that we have, but I also don't want folks to feel like, you know, to feel like other commissioners to feel like they don't have the support of other commissioners. So, you know, I'm available on Saturday, so I wouldn't mind multiple Saturday strategic meetings as well as later in the evening ones. And then kind of circling back to my original opinion, definitely wanted to make sure that we have American Sign Language covered, making sure that it's an accessible event so that we also have captioning, and then also making sure that we have the languages of our communities covered too.
Thank you, Commissioner Griffin-Jones.
I'm looking for additional hands and I don't see any other hands up. And let me scroll down. Somebody just lifted their hand. Let me find where that is. Member Gillies has her hand raised.
Thank you, Claudia. Madam Chair, Saturdays would exclude potentially the Jewish community from participating. So maybe there's some alternatives where an evening and a Saturday, you know, so people could make a choice of, you know, however you set it up, but just for your own knowledge.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Member Gillies. Okay.
Commissioner Evans.
Yes.
As we move
is Member Evans speaking?
Yes.
Okay.
As we move further away from the pandemic and more into being open, again, I want to bring up the issue: will we be able to continue with our Zoom meetings, these meetings as Zoom, or will they come in person?
I can answer that question. At this point, Member Evans and the rest of the commission, what we are looking at and monitoring is pending legislation. We can return back at the next meeting in June with information related to what the state of the pending legislation is as to the ability to continue to meet virtually and any associated limitations or direction in that regard, and also options to meet in person, including locations. We understand that this may affect the commission's desire at the meeting time, but we could bring back various options at the June meeting. We expect June will be virtual at this point, and we would, staff can bring back location options and an update on the state of the legislation related to virtual meetings.
Thank you. Okay. Thank you. Location is going to be a real challenge for those of us in North County and perhaps even East County. But thank you.
Madam Chair, we'll put that on the future agenda then?
Okay.
For the next agenda?
Great.
Okay, in that regards, I know because in relation to strategic planning, it may impact some of your wishes in that regard too.
Right, right.
Hearing the input from the commission members. Oh, I see Samuel Choi's hand up.
Yes, I just wanted to echo everybody's input about getting more community input and having these meetings available in evenings or weekends. Just learning from our experience together when we did the mission statement for the OERJ. I thought that was really good use of our time in terms of how much we've accomplished and the output that we had that was really good. And so if we can just model that in terms of using the ad hoc committee to do a lot of the work, and then whenever we do meet as a commission plus community, we will have a really intentional time to actually have a robust strategic plan. So I guess I'm echoing the concerns about the time. We can do our best to make sure the time and the language and access is good, and then also utilize either community surveys or other mechanisms to get as much community input as possible. And then I trust whoever is in the ad hoc committee would do a solid job to prepare the big group when we have that discussion.
Great. Thank you, Member Choi. It's great. Any other comments?
See if we see any other hands up. Don't see any other hands up.
Okay.
So, Madam Chair and Commission members, staff is seeking Commission direction as to how you would like to proceed. We've heard very clearly about making sure we have times that are accessible and more available to members of the general public, maybe after hours, whether it's in the evening or on weekends, as well as one member Choi indicated maybe ad hoc committee to structure that and return back, and also including potentially community surveys and making sure we also have language accessibility. Is the commission's preference at this point to seek out an ad hoc committee to have an ad hoc committee to start to look at this and to set maybe these dates for community meetings? The ad hoc could suggest dates for community meetings in which the entire commission would attend to hear that input, could structure some of the survey or input questions it would like to see done, and could start doing that focused effort and that heavier lift at the ad hoc level if they would like, and of course reporting back and seeking out the larger commission's input on progress, as well as input on moving forward on some of the areas. It is up to you. Oh, and for the record, there's a Timothy we see on the Zoom. We believe it's Member Ryman. If he could be unmuted and let us know if that is Timothy Ryman. It's not clear. We have somebody. We're looking to see if that's Member Ryman. We'll check back later on in the meeting. So, Madam Chair and members of the Commission, we seek your direction and look forward to hearing your direction as how you would like to proceed, whether you want to add special meetings or ad hocs. I see Member Griffin Jones has her hand up.
Do we need to do a motion? Because I like that we would do working groups or a subcommittee, and that subcommittee be in charge of creating the the dates, and propose questions, and then bringing that back to this group for feedback. Should I make a motion, or?
You can certainly make that motion and obtain a second. It would be for the formation of an ad hoc committee to develop the dates and community questions, community engagements, all related to strategic planning with regular report backs to the commission. And then we would seek a second. Is that if you'd make that motion?
Claudia, can you repeat those duties for ad hoc? I'm just trying to get it down to.
Sure. A motion to form an ad hoc subcommittee so it can focus on the dates, the community questions, and the community engagement related to the strategic planning and report with regular updates to the commission.
Okay.
You are the maker of that motion. We would need a second.
Oh, can I add something to the motion too?
Of course, it's your motion.
I would like to move to form an ad hoc subcommittee in charge of dates, questions, engagement, and accessibility, and to report with regular updates to this commission.
Is there a second to that motion?
This is Karen Gessert. I second that motion.
If there's any further comment, otherwise we can take the roll call for the vote. I don't see any hands up. Madam Chair, would you like me to proceed with the roll call on the vote?
Yes, I just want to make a couple more comments about the sense of urgency around the strategic planning. I want to reiterate that particular piece, if we could come up with a timeline that's acceptable to all of us. Some of the reasons why I'm kind of have a sense of urgency, I see there's issues in the community where we need to create some subcommittees. I met with my vice chair, Mary Ramirez, last week, and also just helped me think through some of the issues around importance of some subcommittees. I would like to create a subcommittee around communication, subcommittee around a legislative analysis, and also a subcommittee around creation of an human HRC award ceremony. And also we have underway the subcommittee around public safety, and also another subcommittee around policies and procedures. In order for us to move in a direction with a vision and a plan, these important subcommittees need to be created, or at least considered as a part of the strategic planning. So that's why I'm a little impatient, but I do have patience as well, because I understand the importance of strategic planning, and it takes time. But I just wanted to communicate my sense of urgency as chair. Thank you.
Madam Chair, Member Fowler had his hand up. And also in regards to Chair Nash, your comments regarding establishing those 3 other subcommittees, we could at this point establish those, this commission could establish those subcommittees, and we could seek volunteers for all of these subcommittees, including the ad hoc, and then take care of it all in one motion, as long as it's very clear what it all includes.
Okay.
Or we could take them in 3 separate, but that is an option. Member Fowler?
I took my hand down, Claudia. Thank you.
Oh, okay. Okay, thank you. Chair Nash, did you want to make a motion for those other 3 subcommittees that you mentioned?
I think Christina's motion is on the floor. Floor now, so I think we should proceed with her motion.
Okay.
Commissioner, member Christina's motion first, and then come back to my issue.
As we contemplate that motion, it would be helpful to know who wants to be on that ad hoc committee, so we can actually take care of it all in that same motion to make sure, in case it exceeds the allowable numbers, that require commission concurrence with that. So we do have the ad hoc committee, establishing the ad hoc committee to commence meetings. We would recommend meeting as soon as June 7th for that first meeting, and looking at using this calendar that's on the screen as a guidepost, and we could accelerate that time frame based on the chair's comments. But if we could get volunteers and know who's on that ad hoc committee now, it will help as we take the vote, whether or not we would ask that whether or not member case we need to include excess number of commission members.
Okay.
So if Member Griffin-Jones, is that you volunteering, or did you?
Yes, volunteering.
Okay. Any other volunteers on the Strategic Planning Ad Hoc Committee? Is it George Corey? Do I see?
Yes, this is Commissioner Corey. I volunteer to be on that committee too.
Okay.
Thank you.
Any others? Was it Angela Elliott Santos's hand up?
Yes, I volunteer to be on that committee as well.
Great.
Awesome.
Are there any other volunteers? Our bylaws provide for 3 to 7 on a committee, and anything beyond that would require that to be part of that motion. Member Evans?
I would like to volunteer as well.
Okay. Thank you. Are there any other hands up? I don't see any more.
I would like to volunteer.
Okay.
Chair Nash here.
Yes. So we have on the Ad Hoc Strategic Planning Committee, we have Christina Griffin-Jones, George Corey, Angela Elliott Santos, Eleanor Evans, and Ellen Nash. We will proceed to set the first meeting as shown on this slide of June 7th. We will anticipate meeting on the other additional dates, but understand that this ad hoc committee may accelerate those meeting dates to be a bit more expeditious. We ready for the vote?
Just a point of, I know that also the Public Safety Subcommittee is meeting on Monday between 1 and 2. Am I right?
Correct. I'm looking at my calendar too.
Yes, it would be from 1 to 2.
Okay, so if there isn't any leeway of any few minutes in between, if one exceeds the time limit, and many of the, maybe I think some of us are on both committees.
You could certainly start the ad hoc committee at 2:30 if you so wanted, so to provide you that half-hour buffer. The subcommittee, the Public Safety Subcommittee did indicate they wanted to keep it to an hour and provide flexibility as needed. So we could put it to 3 to 5 if you like on for this ad hoc strategic planning committee instead, to give you plenty of time in between.
I have another meeting that meets California School Board Association that meets 5:30 on, so it's the way it's set up now would be perfect. It gives me, if we're commuting, it gives me the opportunity to commute, and if not, I still have leeway in terms of preparation.
I'm sorry, Member Evans, I couldn't hear if what you said what time frame would actually work. I lost you on.
The current time frame would work perfectly for me. If you change it, it kind of crowds my schedule for other meetings I have.
Okay.
I don't mind keeping it.
Okay, so we'll keep that, and keep in mind that we do have those other meetings. When the ad hoc committee, if it accelerates its meeting schedule, it may be meeting a few Mondays in a row, where public safety is meeting once a month. So we'll be able to make adjustments if and when needed on the start time if that becomes an issue. With that, we'll go ahead and take the roll on the motion on the ad hoc strategic planning committee to be in charge of the strategic planning dates, questions, accessibility, and community pieces with regular reports back to the commission. Member Anaya? If you could voice your vote.
Aye.
Did you guys hear me? Okay, thank you. Okay, Warsan Arton?
Aye.
Kate Chasen?
Aye.
Kate Clark?
Aye.
Was that Kate Clark? Member Clark?
Yes, aye.
Oh, okay, I didn't have you. Okay, let me mark you first. Thank you.
No problem.
Cinnamon Clark? Stella de los Rios? Kara Desert?
Yes.
Okay. Thank you. Angela Elliott Santos?
Aye.
Rashid Essa,
Aye.
Eleanor Evans,
Aye.
Rodney Fowler,
Yes, aye.
Tammy Gillies,
Aye.
Nadia Binderup as designee for Bill Gore, Christina Griffin-Jones,
Aye.
Taha Hassan,
Yes.
George Curry,
Yes.
Nicole Murray Ramirez,
Yes.
Ellen Nash,
Yes.
Herminia Ramirez,
Yes.
Tim Ryman, Simona Ruderman, Summer Steffen,
Stefan, aye.
Samuel Choi.
Aye.
That's a unanimous vote. Chair Nash.
Great. Great.
This is Nicole Murray Ramirez. I make a motion that we establish 3 subcommittees as proposed by Chairman Nash.
And those subcommittees were the Legislative Subcommittee, the Annual Award Subcommittee, and the Communication Subcommittee.
Yes.
Second,
Who was the second on that?
Anaya.
Okay, thank you. Is there any discussion?
Let me just comment on those 3 subcommittees. The Communications Committee came out of, there are some current, in regards to current community events or issues. For example, the issue with regard to the Catholic, the 2 that you have here, the Chauvin verdict, as well as the Catholic high school incident that I would like to be able to respond to in a much more timely fashion. However, I wanted to create a communication subcommittee in order to run by my speaking points and ensuring that it aligns with the Human Relations Commission's communication strategy. So that's that first subcommittee. And the legislation analyst committee would be around legislation that the HRC could weigh in on that has some particular impact in the community, as well as consistent with our mission of promoting positive human relations. And then thirdly, the HRC award ceremony. This is a vision, a wonderful vision that came from Vice Chair Murray Ramirez. And we both love events planning. At least I do. I love doing that. And I love honoring people. And so I wanted to create a human relations award ceremony where we would acknowledge individuals in the community, constituents in the community that are doing great work around some of our mission with regards to promoting human relations commissions. It would be a stellar gala event style where we would celebrate and honor individuals that are making great progress in advocating for our particular mission in the community. And in fact, we're looking at a date of December. In fact, we may start small, but you have to start somewhere. So those were the 3 urgent committees that I wanted to bring to the commissioners today. Thank you so much.
Madam Chair, thank you for that explanation, because we do need to set the scope of these subcommittees, and these are standing subcommittees, as I understand your comments. Yes. And the motion by Murray Ramirez, which was seconded by Pedro Anaya. The legislative subcommittee, you indicated the scope would be to look at legislation related to and consistent with the HRC's commission and mission, duties and mission. Right. The annual awards would be a standing committee as an annual gala to celebrate and honor individuals who are making progress in the areas of human relations consistent with the commission's duties and responsibilities. Mm-hmm. And lastly, the communication subcommittee would be formed, and I want to make sure I have this right in case I missed it, formed to provide or weigh in timely fashion on statements related to human relations matters, as so that you as the chair as under the bylaws are the spokesperson, can timely issue press releases with having that subcommittee there to weigh in and provide concurrence and input. Okay.
Right.
What are we is that all acceptable by the maker of the motion as part of the motion to set those as the scope?
Yes.
And is that acceptable to the second?
Yes.
Okay. The last piece is how many on these commissions, because right now under the bylaws, they're 3 to 7. Are you anticipating these committees will remain within the 3 to 7 time frame? And if so, I would suggest we get the volunteers now and take care of it all in one vote. We can go ahead and take. I'm sorry, I can't hear that.
What was, is there a comment?
I couldn't, I heard something, but I couldn't hear. I know that there's a request to stop sharing the screen so they can, I think, see more of the members. I'm happy to do that and pull the screen back up while we're having this conversation. So if we, Madam Chair, I would suggest that while we're finalizing, before we take this vote, that we actually get our volunteers for these subcommittees.
Okay. All right. Let's start with the communication.
As that is a subcommittee for your, did you want to be on that subcommittee, Madam Chair?
Oh, absolutely.
Okay, so communication subcommittee volunteers.
This is Commissioner Ramirez. This is Commissioner Ramirez. I volunteer.
Okay, on the communication subcommittee?
Yes.
Any other volunteers?
This is Commissioner Corey. I volunteer.
Thank you.
I have a question. Is there a limit to how many committees a board member can be on, a commissioner can be on?
No, there's not a limit on how many members can be on. It's just a function of whether they can attend given all the time frames. So no, there's not a limitation on how many any commission member can serve.
And this would be an ongoing, standing committee, correct?
Correct.
And the ad hocs could be more fluid?
Yes, the ad hocs are for limited duration for very specific and defined focus for a limited time, such as the strategic plan.
Okay, then I'd like to be on the communication.
Okay. I see Pedro Anaya's hand, member Anaya's hand up.
Yeah, I can go ahead and sit on the communications committee.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you, member Anaya. We now have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 members on that subcommittee.
Claudia, it's Tammy Gillies. I'd like to also sit on communications.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you, member Gillies.
Thank you, Tammy. Thank you, Commissioner Tammy. Yeah. Perfect.
Any other volunteers for that committee? I don't see any other hands up. We could move on to the next subcommittee, Madam Chair. We could move to the either legislative or awards, whichever is your pleasure.
The Legislative Analysis Committee.
Do we have volunteers for that committee? Oh, I see. Is that Christina Griffin Jones? I see volunteering. I see a hand up.
Yes.
Okay.
It's okay.
Thank you.
Thank you, member Griffin Jones. Any others? Oh, Vice Chair Arton, are you?
Yes.
I see your hand up.
Yeah, I would like to be on that committee.
Okay, thank you. Member Corey, I see your hand up.
Yes, ma'am.
Are you
Thank
volunteering
you.
for this one?
Yes, please.
Okay. Do we have any other volunteers for this legislative analysis subcommittee?
Claudia, I'd like to volunteer for this committee as well.
Member Angela Elliott Santos. Member Elliott Santos. Yes, gotcha. Any others?
Any others?
I don't see any other volunteers, Madam Chair. So that subcommittee, the Legislative Analysis Subcommittee, would include Christina Griffin-Jones, Vice Chair Warsan Arton, George Corey, Angela Elliott Santos.
All right, great.
And then the last subcommittee will be the Annual Awards Subcommittee. If we can have volunteers.
I definitely volunteer.
Okay. That would be
Commissioner
Chair Nash.
Ramirez also. Murray Ramirez.
Got it. Vice Chair Nicole Murray Ramirez.
Might as well add me too.
Yeah.
Welcome.
George Corey.
Thank you.
Hi, this
Member
is
Corey.
Commissioner Clark. I'll volunteer for that committee as well.
Thank you.
Commissioner Kate Clark, thank you.
Hi, this is Tammy Gillies. I'll also volunteer for that one. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Member Gillies. So we have, so far we have members Nash, Murray Ramirez, Corey, Kate Clark, and Gillies. 1, 2, 3, 4. That are 5 members on that subcommittee. Are there any others who want to volunteer?
Oh, come on. That's the fun committee.
Yes, it is. It's gonna be.
If not, that would conclude and we can go ahead and take the vote, Member Nash.
All right, let's take
So this
the
would be
vote.
to establish the 3 subcommittees consistent with the scope that was included as part of the motion. Member Anaya.
Aye.
Member Arton.
Aye.
Member Kate Chasen.
Aye.
Member Kate Clark.
Aye.
Member Kara Desert.
Aye.
Member Elliott Santos.
Aye.
Member Essa.
Aye.
Member Evans.
Aye.
Member Fowler.
Aye.
Member Gillies.
Aye.
Member Binderup as designee for Member Gore. Member Griffin-Jones. Member Griffin-Jones. I'll come back to her. Member Hassan.
Yes.
Member Corey.
Yes.
Member Murray Ramirez.
Aye.
Member Nash.
Aye.
Member Ramirez. Herminia Ramirez.
Aye.
Member Ryman. I don't think he's on. Member Stefan.
Aye.
Member Choi.
Aye.
And let me go back to Member Christina Griffin-Jones. I know she was on. I don't know if she's having some issues with technical issues. Okay. I don't see anything coming from her. Okay. That motion carries unanimous vote to form those 3 subcommittees with the scope and duties. We will reach out to those subcommittees to start establishing the meeting schedules.
Great.
Claudia? Sorry, Claudia, I have a quick question.
Sure.
I know that a few weeks or like few meetings ago, excuse me, we formed the public safety subcommittee, and I cannot remember what the other one was.
Yes.
We formed 2 committees. I believe I signed up for one of them, but I haven't heard back. So can you give us an update on what's happening with those?
So the public safety subcommittee did meet, and they're meeting again on June 7th. In the June meeting, we'll have a report back to the commission on what they've done and what they're working on, their focus and meeting schedule. They're going to be meeting monthly. And secondly, the policies and procedures subcommittee, which is the subcommittee that you volunteered for hasn't started meeting as of yet. It is, I believe it's, and I'm looking over to the director for the Office of Equity and Racial Justice, will be meeting later in this, during the summer, as the Office of Equity and Racial Justice is getting their staff up and running. So we'll reach out to that subcommittee just to give them that status.
Got it. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for that, Member Vice Chair Artan.
Right. Great question. Okay.
So I will go ahead and share my screen to go over the next items. Let's see, which are, it's agenda item number 6, which are the open commission seats.
Claudia, before you go there, Miss Maxwell is saying that that the public can't see our screens, the commissioner screens, faces. Is that?
I think she would. They should, when I am screen sharing the PowerPoint, I believe it's the PowerPoint that she's seeing. My understanding, I thought they could still see the pictures of the individual members on to the right.
Okay.
But if that's not correct, I don't know if her view screen needs to be adjusted potentially.
Okay, it looks like,
so
I see, yeah, I see that she's responded. Thanks so much for the link now. I know who folks are.
Yes, yes, and we do have a link that's available with the bios and photos of our members. And I know that we have some members who were still looking forward to receiving their photos and bios so that we can provide that information. But all of our members' names are listed and all photos and bios for those who have submitted are also included.
Okay, great, great. Thank you.
Thank you. With that item, the next item, Chair Nash, is our the commission has 2 open commission seats and had asked for updated demographics. So we have that for you today.
Okay.
And I believe there's 2 hands up. Member Anaya has a hand up, and Member Jones, are you asking about the motion? We couldn't hear you on that last motion before we start this item.
Oh, yes, I'm sorry. I just wanted to make sure that I was a yes vote for that last motion.
Oh, yeah. Thank you for clarifying. Yes, we couldn't.
Thank you.
Thought you might have some technical difficulties. We'll mark that your vote as yes on that last motion for the 3 subcommittees. And the other hand was Member Anaya. Did you have your hand up? Oh dear, I don't know if he's. Well, we'll go ahead and continue with agenda item 6, and when Member Anaya is, if he had some additional comment, he'll share those with us. So the commission has 2 vacancies for the commission nominated seats, and the individuals in those 2 now open seats previously represented the youth demographic. We have received demographics from our 23 of our current members. And in addition, to date, we've received over 50 applications for Human Relations Commission seats, which includes 30 from the prior commission nominations that occurred in September, October. The Board of Supervisors had 10 open seats, with 3 seats remaining open. At this point now, with 26 members, we do have 5 seats remaining. As part of your agenda packet, it was also provided on the webpage as part of the public, for the public's access. We had the demographics report. And today what we've asked is for the commission to receive the updated commission demographics to identify the communities currently underrepresented on the commission. Staff already has sent the commission all the applications received, and we now ask that each commission member review the applications and creates a short list of up to 3 individuals for commission consideration at its next meeting. Their list of the submitted names would be sent to me the week before the meeting to make the nominations, where we'll compile the lists, noting if certain names are identified multiple times. Staff will include the compiled list as well as the corresponding the compiled list at the June 22nd agenda, so that the commission can make the nominations from this list. At the meeting, the commission can nominate a slate for the vote or can make motions for each individual nomination. So for today, we'd like to go over the demographics that were provided to you all. please note we did, what this first slide is, we've taken, these are just the numerical representations and corresponding percentages for the various demographic notes on age, ethnicity, religion, gender identity, sexual orientation, and geographical distribution, which we've then turned into pie charts. So in looking at the commissioner's demographics on age, you can see on the right-hand side of the screen is the county distribution of age populations in brackets of 15 to 24, 25 to 44, 45 to 64, and 65 plus. On the left of that is the commissioner's demographics based on age, and I'm sorry, for some reason in the legend deleted the last two dots, but the tile colors represent the same ones on the county side. So you can see where there is in the county, the 25 to 44 age group tends to be the largest population subset at 36%. And on the commission, it's about 25%. The commission's somewhat fairly evenly distributed amongst the 25 to 44, 45 to 64, and 65 plus, ranging from 21% to 29% in those three areas. And then our 13% for our youngest category. In addition, we have our commissioner's ethnicity, that is, and all of these are self-identified by our commission members. And we have what the county's demographic information from our Health and Human Services, Public Health Services, Community Health Statistics Unit, which indicates the populations as you can see on these slides. On the commission side, we actually provided a bit more specificity also with what we can, on the other category, we have a table at the bottom. So commissioners can see others self-identified in their ethnicities as Armenian, Jewish, Black and Hispanic, and Jewish and Hispanic. So those are what fell into that other category of 17% for you all. And just as a basic bit of information, as you can see, if you look at the tables, 4% generally is about one person who reported on the commission. So we captured on the commission as self-identified by our commission members, Indigenous, Asian Pacific Islander, Arab, Middle Eastern, Black, Hispanic, Latino, Latinx, other, and white. So that is the general distribution based on what was represented by the commission responses. In addition, we have
question.
Yes.
Does the commissioner demographics include the two commissioners we welcomed this morning, the returning commissioner and the new commissioner?
No. No, it did not. I stand corrected. I'd have to go back and look. I'd have to go back and look at what's included, because it included 23 and we're at 26. So I believe it does, but I believe it was sent out to everybody who was as of 5/4. So I'd have to confirm.
Thank you so much. Yeah, with small groups, you know.
Yes, it does. It does
make it the demographics. Thank you so much.
And I do believe it was sent out to all of our newest commissioners that have been appointed since February. Member Jones, Griffin Jones, has her hand up.
Yes, Claudia. Can you go back to the previous slide, if you wouldn't mind?
Yes.
For the I guess the ethnicity, the other, because I know there were like a human rights group. I was wondering if there was a way that we could kind of make those. So, you know, when the term other is used, it's really like and not always on purpose, like alienating kind of thing.
Yes, I
so
understand.
Yeah. If we could, if the folks who are in that other, if they would be allowed the opportunity to like name who they are and who their people are, I think that would be pretty cool. I know that sometimes people have pushback on naming things and naming people and acknowledging folks. because they're like, oh, efficiency. But I think that like changing our language is an important step towards liberation. So like, I don't want anyone on the commission to feel othered. So that's just my thing, like, especially for something like, you know, something like race, you know, like I'm Black and constantly in this anti-Black world, right? I'm being told what is Black and what isn't. Yeah, and also, yeah, so that's it. Just my feedback about other.
And Member Griffin-Jones, thank you for that. What we did was everyone was asked the questions to self-identify. None of these were check the box. The only thing we provided was age ranges for asking people to identify which age range they fell in. All other questions were asked so that people provide self-identifying terminology. What we did is in those that did not correspond to the county demographic designations, those were marked in other, but we do have, because they identified their ethnicities, that at the bottom of the box. But I will take back your comments regarding the other terminology for purposes of stats generally. I appreciate the comment, and we can take that back.
Thank
you. For discussion, because I see what you're saying, because on the county demographics, it has the other box. So I appreciate that input. Here we had the religious demographics on the primary source for the religious designations. It has it identified for the county as a general, of the region, Christians as 29%, 7% as other, and 64% as unaffiliated. We asked for the religious demographics of self-identity through our commission members, as you can see where it was identified and included. There was one that was other, it was identified as a dual, both Jewish and Catholic. In addition, we provided, because of the county stats, we wanted to provide you 2 other sources of information related to the religious designation breakdown. In regards to Jewish, Muslim, and Buddhism, those are the subcategories from those 2 other areas. As you can see, the site, right, those citing references. And on our own commissioners, it broke down as follows here, just so you can see it again side by side. And on gender, the demographic profiles generally are noted on the county general side as male and female. We have for purposes on the commission side, it was self-identity, and we have provided it broken down into those who responded as cisgender, male, female, who didn't provide, transgender, female, transgender male, or non-binary. We did not have any responses. We had some that were not provided, and we didn't have responses. We had 0 in responses to transgender, male, female, or non-binary. In sexual orientation, on the right, you can see the information, and on the left, where we have on the commissioner's identification as whether it was heterosexual, LGBTQIA, or not provided. And the geographic distribution. The geographic, the supervisorial districts amongst the county are evenly divided amongst 20% of the county population. And in our commission, we show that there's individual members who are within D4 are about 33%, and the others are at either 14% or 19% on geographic distribution. So that concludes the demographics. We provide that information, and once again, like I said, it's based out of 23 out of 26 members, because 23 responded. Today, take the opportunity to identify the opportunities for increasing representation of currently potentially underrepresented groups on the commission. Provide the short list by June 15th to staff, and on June 22nd, the nominations for those 2 seats. Are there any questions?
I do have a question, Claudia.
Yes.
I know that when we had this discussion of like appointing commissioners, I think it was right after the elections or sometime in December, if I remember correctly. something that came up was waiting until the supervisors appointed their commission spots. And my understanding is that the list of people that we receive is also the same list of people that they receive, correct?
Correct.
So can you give us an update on like where the supervisors are at, in appointed commission members? And maybe if we can put a deadline on them and say, can you appoint people by this date? That way we don't have to hold up on our end with this expectation of them. For example, if like they want to appoint someone and we're already like wanting to appoint that person, like to avoid that sort of conflict, can we, maybe we give them a deadline or something? And can you give an update on that?
Sure. So the Board of Supervisors had 10 open seats, 9 due to term limits, and then there was another one, and we actually did receive this month a resignation from a member of D5 opening up a seat. They have filled 7 of those seats. So there are 3 remaining seats to be appointed by the Board of Supervisors, and then 2 seats open by the commission nominations that would then go to the board for approval. So we have, we do have quite a few of those appointments, or a majority, a significant portion of those appointments already made. And then they have just a few seats left remaining to be seated. You do not need to delay your process. Your process isn't dependent on that timing. The commission had made that decision because they wanted to allow the new appointments to move ahead of them, correct, so that they could do that. So I hope that helps provide some update. There's only 3 seats, one of which is due to a resignation that occurred this month. Any other questions?
Claudia, kind of to Vice Chair Orsan's point. So the Board of Supervisors has 3 seats and HRC has 2 seats. Could we communicate to the Board of Supervisors where our gaps are? And I think we could all come out a win-win.
Certainly, if the commission looks based on today's demographic reports, identifies areas for increasing representation, some opportunities there, we can convey that. Certainly the chair, you could reach out also to the board offices and share that information of where there are, where the commission believes are some opportunities for increasing representation. What I would need to double check is whether or not any of the seats that are remaining open are youth representation seats, which is one area where they would focus on that age demographic. I'd have to double check the remaining seats.
Right. And to Kara's point, member Kara, so the 2 new additional commissioners today, was that included in that number?
Yes. So we 23? Have So we have a total of 26 commission members. And all were invited to provide responses. We received responses from 23 because we did use responses from the prior of all current members. We used their same responses as we had from February. And all new members were provided an opportunity to participate and provide responses.
Okay.
So at this point, we would welcome the commission. This is the commission's opportunity and time for discussion as to where it believes there's some opportunities for increasing areas of representation on the commission that may currently be have less representation. I believe there's one comment. I hope folks will support the addition of transgender and non-binary future commissioners. There's that one. Oh, Member Choi, you have your hand up?
Yes, just want to make a quick comment and also a question. Comment is just looking at the demographics information. There's a clear gap here in terms of representation from the API community on the commission.
Right.
And just wanted to name the fact that there's already several candidates, especially South Asians. And knowing myself representing the API community, it's quite inadequate even for me to speak for other East Asians, let alone South Asians, Southeast Asians, and Pacific Islanders. So just wanted to name that. And also my question is, I noticed some of the applicants were from previous rounds, especially around the summertime last year. So is there a way to check whether each of these applicants are still interested, knowing that some of them have already different career? Just knowing, I already recognize like 2 or 3 people who have like different jobs and might not even be in San Diego. So just, is there a way to just check so that when we make the vote as a commission, we know who are the ones who are actually still interested in joining?
Sure, we can do that. With, as we're asking for the commission members' suggestions on nominations, we could, after we receive that list, we could reach out to each of those who've been identified by anybody to confirm their continued interest. The way the applications work is they do remain valid for 1 year. So if it is 1 year from the date of their submitted application, if they have an application that's going to expire between now and June 22nd and they are interested, they would need to have a current application. But certainly we could reach out to any of those names that the commission has identified as for potential discussion on the 22nd and confirm their continued interest.
That makes sense. Thank you.
Are there any other questions? Nicole Murray Ramirez?
Yes. As I'm sure many of you are aware, the transgender community, part of the LGBTQ community, has been greatly under attack, and to the point of unbelievable increase in murders across the country. So I think it is very important that we have a transgender member of this commission. At the same time, I do, absolutely agree. If you look at the population of the Asian Pacific Islander community in San Diego, which is one of the largest and fastest growing communities along with the Latino community, I think it's important that we get more representation. And also in the Jewish community, which is no one needs, I'm sure, to tell any of you of the unbelievable attacks on the Jewish community across this country. It's just unbelievable that it reminds me of looking at pre-Nazi times in Germany when they would publicly in the broad daylight attack the Jewish population of Germany. That being said, I think these 3 areas are very important. Thank you.
Thank you, Member Murray Ramirez, Vice Chair Murray Ramirez. Oh, thank you, Member Chasen. I understand. I just saw your note. You need to leave for your next class, and thank you for for joining us today. Good luck at class. Any other discussion as to, so far we have heard opportunities for increasing representation or gaps of current representation in Asian Pacific Islanders, transgender, and Jewish. I'm happy to work with the chair and convey these areas or gaps to the board offices, and also certainly as you all consider the applications pending before you and look at the organizations and background of the individuals who have listed their histories of community work on the applications. You can take those into account as you are developing your potential nominations. I just saw a hand pop up. Where did it go?
Oh, it's my mind, Claudia. Thank you.
Oh, okay. I saw it and then it disappeared. Member Griffin Jones?
Okay. Did you have a comment, Member Griffin Jones? Did you have a comment?
No. No, I didn't.
Okay.
Oh,
All right.
okay. Well, Madam Chair, if there's no further comments,
Claudia,
we can take that
may I
information.
make one? I'm so sorry, I can't
yes.
figure out the raise your hand thing's not working. I just want to
That works, no problem.
comment that we've worked really hard to fill gaps in our demographics, and want to thank the staff of the county for putting together clear demographics that we can look at and really examine those gaps. So I want to say two things. We have come a long way from the gaps that we've had. And so that's the work of many people. Thank you, Chair Nash. Thank you, county staff. It looks better than it did 6 months ago. That's a huge accomplishment and the work of many. So I want to congratulate all my fellow commissioners and shine a light on the work that we've done to create a more inclusive group that's driving human relations in our region. And the second is just to thank folks who are speaking to the continuing gaps. Our API community, our transgender and non-binary community. I think we can keep this momentum going and create a truly inclusive group. So thank you, everyone.
Thank you, Member Desert.
Echo that, definitely. Thank you so much.
So, Madam Chair, we would look forward to, like I said, you all have the applications. You have the information, you've had the discussion today. We look forward to receiving the short lists, 3 names, up to 3 names from each member. And with your suggested names for consideration, we will compile that list and bring it back at the June 22nd meeting. So you all can make your nominations, which would then be forwarded to the Board of Supervisors for their appointment, their confirmation appointment. So, and in addition, based on Member Choi's comment about making sure they want to, those individuals on any list still remain interested, we will reach out to them to confirm that before bringing that final list between the time the short list and the list is presented to the commission on the 22nd.
Great. And Vice Chair Murray Marires and also Vice Chair Arton and I will be establishing standing meetings with the Board of Supervisors. So at our first meeting, we will definitely bring up, this will be one of the agenda items. Thank you. Okay.
So Madam Chair, with that, we can proceed on to the next agenda item.
Yes.
Which are the?
I want to say we have 30 minutes left, and I really want to get to our Heritage Months and the wonderful diversity days that we need to acknowledge. So we only have 30 minutes. So I think with regard to
Did you want to take that?
Yeah, with regard to the
Did you want to move that?
Yes, with regard to the statements by the Commission regarding hate incidents, agenda item 7, we've pretty much addressed that in regards to the examples of why the subcommittee to help support the chair in responding to those emergency institutes in a much more timely manner has been addressed. So can we just go ahead and move to the Heritage Months agenda item 8?
Yes, and Madam Chair, so the statements by the Commission regarding hate incidents is being referred to the subcommittee?
Yes, yes. Those were just examples of incidents that the chair could have responded to in a timely manner. But we've already agreed that we're going to create a subcommittee that would help the chair make sure those statements align with our mission and values. So we can move on to item number 8.
Will do. Let me go ahead and share my screen again with that. Oops. Why is it not going down? There we go. So at the last commission meeting, the members had asked us to return with a calendar of inclusive of Heritage Month events and other cultural, multicultural, and diversity events throughout the year. Thank you to Member Evans for sharing her list. We took a look at our internal lists. We provided you that calendar, which is multiple pages long, for your consideration. What we would propose is we now have those lists. You all have, it includes not only those months that are recognized as entire months devoted to celebration of various heritages or cultural events as well as date-specific events. Today, we are before you for if there was anything that we missed as part of that calendar, if you wanted to add, if there was any misses, was something not included? And in addition, on a monthly basis, we would list all those Heritage Month events and then those cultural date events for reference and opportunity for the Commission to speak to them. In May, our Heritage Months are Asian American Pacific Islander, Jewish American, Haitian American, and India American Heritage Months. In addition, it's also Mental Health Awareness Month, Older Americans Month, and National Foster Care Month. And Madam Chair Nash, I believe you indicated we would have some guests, some speakers for Asian American Pacific Islander and Jewish American. In addition, the other item that was part of that last agenda was the calendar of the months, as well as seeking a proclamation for Arab American Heritage Month. That proclamation was obtained. So it was sent out in the agenda packet, and I believe we still have Paula from District 4, who's also here. They did, I will show you on the screen, provide a framed proclamation. I think if you all can see that. And Paula from D4 is here to, I think, make a few comments on that proclamation that was provided. If we can. Get her moved on to. Did I see a hand up? Christina Griffin-Jones?
Yeah, I can go after.
Internet is saying it's unstable.
Paula makes the comment.
Okay.
I can go after.
Okay. Yes, I got it. Got it. Fine. Oh, no, wrong person. Ask to unmute. Paula Martinez Montes, we have you unmuted. We've asked you to unmute. Are you able to? So we're going to move you to panelist and see if that makes it easier for you. Paula, you are now able to speak when you're ready. I don't know if she's having some connectivity issues. I'll go ahead and read what was on that proclamation. Whereas Arab Americans have made valuable contributions to the United States of America and especially San Diego County through endeavors in education, technology, law, medicine, government, military service, the arts, and much more. And whereas Arab Americans have openly shared their distinct and inclusive culture, traditions, and rich heritage with their neighbors near and far, while also advancing the economic, political, and social growth of San Diego. Whereas Arab Americans diligently work toward peaceful values and advocate for diversity, inclusion, and belonging, regardless of race, religion, gender, sexual orientation, and other characteristics historically associated with discrimination. And whereas the County of San Diego acknowledges the efforts and success of Arab Americans to combat harmful stereotypes, prejudices, ignorance, invisibility, othering, and discrimination. And whereas the County of San Diego is committed to recognizing and honoring those individuals, groups, and organizations that are dedicated to the highest ideals of public service, and Arab American community is one such group. Now, therefore, be it proclaimed by the chair and all members of the Board of Supervisors this day, May 25th, they commend the Arab American community for outstanding service, leadership, and educational commitment to county residents, and do hereby declare this to be the Arab American Community Day throughout San Diego County. This was at the Human Relations Commission's direction. I am sorry, it looks like Paula Martinez Montes, her mic is not working. And I know that she's the one who was able to bring this forward. I do see some hands up, and for the members of the commission, to the extent your community groups or organizations are seeking proclamations, those are available through the clerk of through the Board of Supervisors. They do actually have a portal where you can make those requests. I see a couple of hands. The first hand is. I'm scrolling. Member Corey.
Claudia, was this a proclamation for April as the Arab American month, or just a single day, which is May the 25th?
I think because by the time this was, if you'll recall, this was the meeting was held a matter of days before the end of the month. By the time it was processed, it was outside of April. So certainly next month, next year, the request can be during April. So what they've done is honored today as the day, given the timing.
So they couldn't just refer to the April month to be the month of Arab Americans, and they are designating only a single day for Arab Americans?
Well, generally, heritage months aren't designated retroactively. And so given the timing, this is what we moved forward as the proclamation, given that it's now time, we're in May, that is why. But certainly, Member Corey, April as Arab American Heritage Month next year can be recognized. We can have that submission can be made prior. It could be made the month before so that it can timely be turned around and recognized in full fashion.
Great.
And in addition, the Friday, April 30th, I believe it was, the County Administration Center building was lit up in colors reflecting Arab American heritage.
Nice.
Yeah, I appreciate that. Thank you.
In addition, we do have in May the following heritage months for recognition: Asian American, Pacific Islander, Jewish American, Haitian American, and Indian American. Madam Chair, I believe you had some, certain members were going to speak to Asian American, Pacific Islander, and Jewish American heritage months.
Yes, yes. I do see Vice Chair Murray Ramirez hand up.
Thank you.
Yes. I think it's absolutely wonderful that this proclamation came from our commission. What my question is this the first time that the community has been recognized with such a proclamation? Do we know this? Because this could be quite an accomplishment. One of our accomplishments of this commission is this important proclamation. Do you have any historic background? Because I don't recall such a proclamation in the past.
Member Murray Ramirez, I do not know the historical aspect as to whether or not there has been prior proclamations. We could certainly look into this and return back and inform the commission, but I don't know off the top of my head. I apologize.
No, that's okay. I would appreciate that historic background on this proclamation.
Okay, thank you. We will look into it. And Member Griffin Jones had her hands up.
I can go after the folks speak about the months.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Okay, we will move to Asian American Pacific Islander. Sam, Commissioner Choi, can you make some comments in response to the Asian American Pacific Islander Month?
Sure. Thanks, Chair Nash and everybody. Yeah, I've definitely been participating a lot in different events around the community, and I've been celebrating this month ever since, as a teenager and college student, understanding my own Asian American identity. And it's certainly something that I've never been as proud of as right now, both my Asianness and my Americanness. And I feel this sense of both unity, but also a sense of complexity, and that this label, AAPI, is at the end of the day pretty awkward and tenuous to lump everybody in the world's largest landmass and all the Pacific Islanders together. But as many people in my community have done over this month, not only are we celebrating our contributions and our heritage, there's this added, just sobering time, of responding to the rise of hate and bias in our community. And it's just this added weight for all of us to not just celebrate, but to also teach fellow Americans about our history that have often been neglected and overlooked in our classrooms, in our popular culture and media. So it's been such a rich time for me to learn about my own history as well, knowing about the Chinese American contributions to the railroad and to the very beginning of California, to the fact that Filipino Americans were in the forefront of the farm labor movement, to the fact that it was a South Asian who challenged the notion of whites being the only people that could become naturalized in America. And it was it just took so many people over the years to define what Asian American really is. So I'm just sitting here with a lot of gratitude for the community being able to come together during this challenging time, and to receive calls and concerns from members in this group and from another community to ask how I'm doing, how my people are doing. It just feels good to be able to be cared for, and hope to be able to pay it back, to be there for others, to be there to the intersections of other struggles. So with that, I actually like to invite everyone here to come to a time to actually reflect and debrief on all the things that we've learned over the course of this month and this past year as the Asian American community, as we dealt with the challenges. How do we move forward? How do we transform the pain that has been this pandemic and the racism that has arisen throughout the pandemic? How do we transform all of that to a movement that is sustainable, a movement that is intersectional, and that is able to not just care for our own people, but to be able to stand in solidarity with other racial and ethnic struggles in America. And so, as you can see in my background here, the ST-API Coalition is going to host a community conversation on Thursday, June 3rd in the evening. And we really would like to see folks who identify as API, and also those who don't, but who have been celebrating with us this month, who've been in the struggle with us over the course of this year, to think and to imagine what can we do together to build this identity and this movement going forward, especially here in San Diego. So I'll drop the link in the chat for those who want to learn more and sign up. And with that, just to say thank you for everybody who's been celebrating and who's been learning about AAPI history. And I look forward to next year, hopefully with this group, we can have things in person and we can enjoy all the wonderful, delicious food from our community as well, which is something I really missed this year, to be able to celebrate together and smell all the flavors that represent the API community here in San Diego. So thank you. Looking forward to learning about the other Heritage Month celebrations as well.
Thank you. Thank you, Commissioner Choi. That was beautiful. Thank you. I've asked Commissioner Tammy Gillies to help us recognize the Jewish American Heritage Month. Commissioner Gillies?
Thank you very much. Thank you, Madam Chair, for inviting me to speak about Jewish American Heritage Month. And I thought I would just provide a little bit of history of Jews in America, and I will make it short, but hopefully give some information that people didn't have before. So Jewish American Heritage Month came from George W. Bush in 2006. And the Jews have been in America since colonial times. At that time, it was mostly Sephardic Jews. And I think a lot of people believe that Jews are sort of all one, but we have many different kinds of Jews. And the Sephardic Jews were the ones that came from Spain and Portugal, mostly. So that was the early days. Following that, a lot of Jews called Ashkenazi Jews came from Central and Eastern Europe. And between sort of 1880 and the early 20s, as the persecution of Jews in Europe became very common, they migrated to the US. And in fact, my own grandparents came in 1913 to escape persecution, and members of their families were murdered in pogroms, which, for those who don't know what a pogrom is, was the mass slaughter of Jews happening in Eastern Europe, way, way before the Holocaust. There was the Immigration Act of 1924, which really curtailed the number of Jews that were allowed to come to America. And I'm sure you know, this led to the death of many Jews during the Holocaust, as America had very strict quotas, and Jews that might have been fortunate enough to escape the Nazis were turned back to face death in Europe. As if you know the story of the St. Louis, the ship that was turned back to Europe. So a lot of quotas, and that's why the Jewish community is very involved and supportive of the immigration rights, because we know how it feels. So here in America, 500,000 American Jews fought in World War II, which is half of all the Jewish men between ages 18 and 50. Half of them fought in World War II. During the first half of the 20th century, and certainly some places still, Jews were not welcome in American society. A lot of people don't know that the reason that we have many Jewish law firms, Jewish accounting firms, etc., is because non-Jews would not hire Jews to work in those areas. So they had to open up their own, businesses. Restaurants and clubs excluded Jews, and many universities and other institutions did as well. Today, there are approximately 7.6 million Jews in the United States, which is 2.4% of the population. In California, there are 1.2 million Jews, or 0.4% of the state's population. So we're a very small minority in the country and in California. San Diego has a very diverse Jewish community, including Mexican Jews, South African Jews, Israeli Jews, Mizrahi Jews, which are Jews from the Middle East and North Africa, and Ashkenazi Jews. We also have a large and sadly dwindling population of Holocaust survivors, many of whom fall below the poverty line. So since we're what we call a diaspora community, we come from so many different places. We've really brought many different cultures and traditions to the United States. I'm sure all of you know lots of famous Jews through American history, but we have contributed to the arts, journalism, academia, philanthropy, and business. And as mentioned earlier, this is a very challenging time. I mean, I could probably say that at most times, but this is a challenging time for the Jewish community. American Jews being harassed and beat up in the streets of New York and Los Angeles. And it's been very difficult. So we appreciate support from all of our partners and friends in our community. And thank you again, Madam Chair, for just allowing me to provide some information to the group.
Thank you, Commissioner Gillies. Vice Chair Nicole Marie Ramirez, do you have your hand up? Do you want to make a comment?
Yes, I just wanted to comment on the Asian Pacific Islander Month, that having lived here for over 50 years, it's been a joy and with a lot of pride as a person of color to see the empowerment and the visibility. If anything, the hate that has been going on has definitely reawakened the Asian Pacific Islander community. And to go, and I'm sure many of you have been to some of the rallies and their support, to see the young Asian Pacific Islanders who have gotten involved and are speaking out. I attended one in Balboa Park where all the speakers must have been in their 20s. I felt like the old lady live in the shoe, but it was so inspiring. And I think that just like in the gay community, Anita Bryant awoke in us in the 70s. I think even more that this hate is definitely has empowered and awakened across the nation, the Asian Pacific Islander community. So I congratulate them on that. The Jewish, I really like these. I think we all do these presentations. I never knew about you learn something. I've known very much about the Jewish community, but I didn't know about World War II and the soldiers' lives. And I think that that is a very interesting historic fact. So I thank the presenters. Thank you.
Thank you, Vice Chair Murray Ramirez. Do we do have the, can you put the other slide, the Haitian and the Haitian American, India American. I don't know if we have anyone that could speak to those today, but we certainly want to acknowledge the heritage of the Haitian American, India American months as well. And we're new at this, but we're improving as we go along, and hopefully next year we'll be much more responsive and timely. But I really want to thank Sam Joy and Tammy Gillies for their presentations and acknowledgements today.
Madam Chair, we also provided the specific May diversity days that are extracted from the calendar. From there, we do see some hands raised.
Okay.
Christina Griffin Jones, Pedro Anaya, and Nicole Marie Ramirez, but that may have been from before.
Oh, I'm ready to talk if it's okay.
Okay.
In that order. Yeah.
For next year for Haitian American Month,
yes.
I can ask a friend of mine who runs Haitian Bridge Alliance if she wouldn't mind coming to present. As I'm sure a lot of people know, many of our Haitian loved ones were staying in the camps at the Chaparral entrance of the international border.
Yes.
And there we have, here in San Diego, we have a very rich Haitian community. So I'm excited for that. And also at the end of May and June 1st marks the 100th year anniversary of the Tulsa massacres. So in Tulsa, Oklahoma, about 100 years ago, the most successful hub of Black people were destroyed by white supremacists being helped by local law enforcement and the Klan. So there are people still alive to tell those stories, and the stories that they tell are ones that that only add to the argument that reparations are needed for Black folks in this country who are descendants of stolen folks. So yeah, just hoping that we could, if maybe in June or like next year, right, for May and June, us being able to lift up the Tulsa massacre, and also in Juneteenth as well.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner.
Madam Chair, we also did list the May diversity dates are specific to recognize some different events throughout May related to a celebration of various cultures. And I believe there was member Murray Ramirez, Vice Chair Murray Ramirez was going to speak as to Harvey Milk Day.
Absolutely. Commissioner Murray Ramirez, it's your floor.
Thank you. Thank you very much. May 22nd, then Governor Schwarzenegger declared Harvey Milk's birthday a special holiday in California. Harvey Milk was a commander in the U.S. Navy, and in fact, in the 1950s, was stationed in San Diego. He was forced to resign after he was seen at a gay hangout. I met Harvey Milk in the 1970s, and I was introduced to him by World War II veteran and the first openly gay candidate to run for public office in 1961, and that being Jose Julio Sierra. I worked with Harvey Milk against the national homophobic campaigns of Anita Bryant against the statewide ballot measure introduced by then Senator John Briggs that would have fired all LGBT teachers in schools. Having worked with Harvey Milk and Cesar Chavez, they became great allies in support of the Filipino and Latino farm workers in the Great Boycott. You know, Harvey was a true visionary as he, in the 1970s, believed in coalition building and reaching out to other communities and embracing other issues. At that time, not many of our LGBTQ leaders were doing so. So Harvey became the first openly gay man elected to public office because of coalitions in 1978. He immediately built stronger ties and supported the African American Civil Rights Movement, labor and working families, rent control, and senior protection. He was the only supervisor to vote against Dianne Feinstein for the election of the president of the Board of Supervisors, instead of cast his vote for the Asian Pacific Islander supervisor who would have made history by his election. His assassination had a profound effect on me. I led the campaign to get, along with then Councilman Gloria, to get Harvey Milk Street, the first in the nation, in Hillcrest. And I was honored to lead the national efforts that started in San Diego, which resulted in the Harvey Milk U.S. postage stamp. It was unveiled in the White House ceremony, which I was invited to, and it was under the President Obama administration. Then we led the successful campaign to get the Secretary of the Navy that resulted in the Harvey Milk, USNS Harvey Milk naval vessel, which many of you probably are aware that there were two tours of this, which included a celebration of 13 annual celebration of the Harvey Milk Diversity Breakfast, which for 13 years has attracted over 1,000 San Diegans from all walks of life. It is produced by an outstanding job of the outstanding staff of Commissioner Desert and the LGBTQ Community Center, who did another terrific job this year, and I want to thank her and her staff. I was invited to one of the ceremonies for the USNS John Lewis ship, and once again got to meet Congressman Lewis when he was in San Diego for the ship ceremony, and it was one of his last appearances before he passed. I want to thank the chair once again for this opportunity. I think it's going to be a wonderful portion of our meetings, and I want to also point out and thank Commissioner Summer for her. I hope many of you saw her commentary in this Sunday's Union Tribune about the hate crime increase against our Asian Pacific Islander community. It was an outstanding commentary. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Vice Chair.
Chair Nash, we did have member Anaya with his hand raised.
Oh, okay. All right.
Hello, everybody. I hate to follow Nicole because she did a wonderful job on Harvey Milk Day, and I really appreciate seeing the pictures that were put up over at NASCO. So thanks. I'm a little off subject here, but it's related to the days that we put up there. You know, when we're talking about our diversity and all the celebrations we have, they're sometimes a little complex, and there's more than just the day, right? And I just wanted to share, just as a food for thought, that for some of us in the Latino Chicano community, you know, Cinco de Mayo is a little complex for us. Yeah. It's you know, it's been something that's been co-opted in some cases, caused some challenges, You know, if I share that as a day of celebration with my family across the border, they think I'm nuts because, you know, that's not a holiday.
Yeah.
And so there's a lot of complexity to that. And so I'd be careful as automatically listing that as a day for us, and maybe it requires more conversation. I know for me, it is not me personally, I can only speak for me, right? It's not a day that me or my family celebrate, acknowledge here locally. As a matter of fact, if we do acknowledge it, because, you know, with some of our dance traditions, we get invited, Cinco de Mayo, we get invited to dance everywhere, right? And so there's always, and so we usually, if we do celebrate an event, it's because it's celebrating something like a Cinco de Mayo con Orgullo, which is a non-alcoholic event, right? And no alcohol is allowed because of that. Again, the beer companies co-opting that day in our community and turning it into something else. So I just put that as a caution, little complexity to it, you know, something to think about as we move forward. Maybe this is one example. There may be others that I am totally unaware of. And so just wanted to share that with the group.
Hi, this is Commissioner Evans. Can we hyphenate that or add Mexico's independence from France?
Technically, it wasn't even that because it was just a battle.
It's the Battle of Puebla.
I mean, if we're going to start celebrating battles, I mean, we could start celebrating Battle of Gettysburg and a few others, right? That's
Yeah, I understand what you're saying. I was just offering that as a suggestion as to why.
I appreciate that. I'm being a little sarcastic. Sorry.
I recognize that. Thank you.
And remember, Anaya, we understand the as you aptly described the complexity around Cinco de Mayo, and we propose that this calendar is a compilation of dates from a variety of sources, and that's why we brought it to the Commission. Certainly, there is Hispanic Heritage Month that overlaps in September, October. There are other heritage months that are focused on various aspects of heritage, and so we leave it to the Commission. Certainly, listing it doesn't make it something that is that we're asking the Commission to take any action on, but rather it was listed as bringing to your attention. And if you all indicate that's not something that we think is something the Commission would like to focus on, because we think there's if you all think there's other areas to focus on, we could certainly remove it from that, from the calendar. And with that, I see Member Gillies, I believe, and then Member Griffin-Jones and Member Evans with their hands up.
Thank you. So I'll be quick, but just in the spirit of learning and growing, I would like to ask this group to maybe consider not using the language, and I know, Claudia, this is taken from somewhere else, but the language of homophobia, transphobia, or Islamophobia, those phobia languages are really sort of a scientific anxiety disorder type of irrational fear that can be treated. And what we're really talking about is like anti-trans hate, anti-Muslim hate. So I think that pretending it's something that a person has like within them as opposed to something they're choosing, I just think that the language may be something we want to consider, just calling it what it really is and not hiding behind those terms.
Thank you, Commissioner Gillies. In the spirit of learning, that's what we are.
Thank you, Member Gillies.
Absolutely, absolutely. We have other hands, Christina. I see Eleanor Evans.
No, my hand's not raised.
Okay.
I saw Member Griffin-Jones' hand up.
I think, like, first off, I think the conversation we're having is so important because I think we were all chosen as commissioners because we're trusted folks in our community, and our community knows that we're a part of this commission. So we have that extra layer of accountability because whatever this commission, you know, produces or puts out or is close to, people are going to equate that to us. So, you know, I do want to, I appreciate member Pedro, what you said. And I don't think it's a big deal. Well, like, and push back on me if I'm being terrible, because I invite the conversation, but like I appreciated learning that. And I think we have about May 5th. Like, do we have to have it on our calendar? You know, if and I don't, and member Pedro, please push back on me if I'm like, if I'm not moving in a way of solidarity or respect or trust for members of the Latinx community. But I want to model what it's like when we hear from members of that community steps that we should take. And I also trust that the reason that member Pedro is on this commission is because of the trust that they have in their community. So I'm cool with us not lifting up Cinco de Mayo in the way that white frat boys have co-opted this day. Yeah.
Thank you, Commissioner Griffith. Great points. Great points. Anyone else have their hand up before I make my last comments?
Chair Nash, it looks like member Murray Ramirez has his hand up.
No, that was the mistake. I apologize.
That's okay. Let me see. I will take one last look, see if I could quickly find any other hands up. I don't see any.
Well, it's 12:02. Just a quick comment. We also are acknowledging May as Mental Health Awareness Month, and sort of to speak to Commissioner Gillies around the phobias. Also, I want to encourage every commissioner, particularly, and the public, that we need to take care of ourselves. Self-care is very important. And all the work, commissioners, that we've asked you to take on in addition to your regular assignments and lives style, we also want to make sure that you take care of yourself. Self-care is so important. I also wanted to make just a comment on, today is the commemoration of the George Floyd incident. We want to keep that family in prayer. We want to keep all of this entire country in prayer. And I know we have Commissioner Ron Fowler on if he's still here. Commissioner of Ron Fowler, could you just make a brief comment about the George Floyd incident? Thank you.
Well, thank you, Chair. The George Floyd incident, we're coming up on a year anniversary, and I know that they've been trying to pass a national legislation to help prevent that in the future. And I'm hoping that we'll be able to move towards that. It's sad that a human being had to lose their life over that incident, but I think what it did was it put a spotlight and an emphasis that has carried on, and it's brought in people from all over the world to recognize that police brutality and policies need to change. So I'm glad to see that there's an effort, that the effort has been consistent and has been sustained, and we're going into the future with it. I'm glad to see that people are starting to recognize that everyone in this country is not treated equal yet. We have a lot of work to do.
Thank you, Commissioner Fowler, for those comments. I think that's the end of our meeting. 4 minutes
Madam
over,
Chair?
but we did it. Yes.
Madam Chair, we will trail the minutes to the next meeting, because that
Okay.
was one last item. So in interest, it is over time.
Yes.
So we will trail that.
All right. Thank you all. Meeting adjourned. Take care. Have a great week.
Thank you.
All right.
Thank you.
Bye, everyone.
Take care.
Thank you.